Do you want to break through to a higher level of confidence and do something that in the past would have been totally impossible for you? If so, watch this episode and learn exactly how to do that in 4 steps. Welcome to another episode of The Art of Extraordinary Confidence. I'm your host for the show, Dr. Aziz, and this is the show for you if you want to maximize your confidence in every area of life that matters. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about the first step of 4 on how to do the impossible in 4 steps. And so whether you want to do the impossible in your career, in your love life, in your dating life, in your social life, in your physical health, in your finances, whatever it is for you, there's a level of confidence that we need to be able to do that. And I'm going to show you the exact steps on how to activate that in yourself over this and the next 3 following episodes. So before we get into doing the impossible for you, we got to know what that is. So what is something that is impossible for you? Is it maybe you want to have an extraordinary, outstanding, deep, loving relationship, and that feels completely out of reach and totally impossible? Maybe you're terrified to go talk to somebody. So the idea of just approaching people that you find attractive easily and confidently, impossible. Maybe you want to create a deep, lasting, authentic relationship, and that feels terrifying, uncomfortable. I don't even know how to do it. I'm too weird. I'm too neurotic. Therefore, it's impossible. That was my experience. Those were my stories for many years. And maybe it's outside of dating and relationships. Maybe to shift your career or to pursue a higher level of leadership or to start your own business or whatever it is you want to do with confidence in your career, impossible, right? So be thinking about this as I share this in this episode, the next few. What is impossible, quote unquote, impossible for me? So, and to illustrate this, I'm going to use the example from my own life, which is a recent edge of impossibility that I've been pushing through, which is what my body is physically capable of doing in one day. So, the first step to do the impossible is to question your stories. Question your stories. You got a bunch of stories in your head, a bunch of ideas, a bunch of beliefs about what is possible and what is not possible for you. And you know you're moving towards doing the impossible when you really start to question them. Now, I was teaching this recently to people in one of my higher level mastermind programs, and what I realized as I taught them the whole 4 steps, and then as soon as we started doing Q&A about it, I realized oh wait, there's a step 0. There's a step 0 that's even before step 1. So step 1 is you question the stories, right? And I'll get into what that means in just a second. Step 0 is you're not questioning those stories. You're not questioning your beliefs at all. That's just the cage of reality. So I want to go freely and confidently approach the most interesting, attractive people to me, whether it's men or women, whatever floats your boat. And you just see someone, oh, I can never talk to them. Oh, I can't do that. And you go about your day. And you don't even question, why is that impossible for me? Is that really impossible for me? How could I make it more possible for me? That is when you start to do step 1, where you start to question the stories. Otherwise, you're not even questioning them. You're just living in this cage of your own construction that hypnotizes you into thinking that's not possible, that's not possible, that's not possible. So for me, for many years, since the age of 15, I had intense chronic pain. And I went to numerous doctors and got numerous diagnoses. Finally, one stuck, which was ankylosing spondylitis, which is an autoimmune disorder. And then they gave me a medication for that called Enbrel. And I was taking that for 15 years. I had the pain for 20. I started taking the medication for 15 because the first 5 years, they didn't know to prescribe that and I didn't get any help in any other way. So in my head, my body is weak, it's broken, it's got an autoimmune condition. Sure, I can push it a little bit, but I'm destined to get injured. And sure enough, that's what always happened. I'd push my body a little bit, it would get injured. The medicine sort of dampened some of the main pain, but I'd play the guitar a lot and I loved it. And then I'd get repetitive stress injuries in my wrists and fingers. I'd try to lift weights, I'd like that, feel stronger, and I'd get pain in my wrists, my shoulders, everywhere, my neck. I'd do push-ups and I'd get shooting pain down my back for days. I'd try to do pull-ups and I'd feel this popping sensation and then I couldn't turn my neck for days. If I try to run, I get terrible plantar fasciitis and couldn't hobble around for weeks or months. And every time I'd be going to physical therapy and doctors and getting different things. I even had surgery on the wrist. I mean, I was just deep in the medical system, always struggling with different problems. That was my reality. So my stories were, I'm broken. I can't do this. I can't push my body at all. And then you start to question your stories. And for me, I'm going to go out camera here for a second. For me, the tipping point was when someone introduced me to this book by a guy named John Sarno. It's called The Mind-Body Prescription, Healing the Body, Healing the Pain. And in it, he said, you're not broken. You can transform. Thousands of other people have done it. Here are the symptoms they experience, and they're the exact same symptoms I was having. And I started to question my story. Say, well, is that really true that I'm broken? And maybe you're questioning your story. Is it really true that if I started my own business, I would fail and die in a pile of rubble under a bridge? Is it really true that if I put myself out there to someone I was attracted to, they'd throw a drink in my face and tell me, get away from me, you loser? Is it really true that if I were to approach that group of people and be warm and open and just try to engage socially, that they would all stop and look at me and reject me? Is it true that if I took that project on at work and wanted to be a more powerful leader and step up to that level, that I'd fail and it would all fall apart and everyone would judge me and I'd get fired? You really question the story. You don't just hear the story and be like, yeah, that shit's true. Guess I'm going to go back to my cave. No, you question it, you challenge it. And here's the thing, you actually wrestle with it. Because as liberating as it was for me to listen to that book, the John Sarno one, there's a part of me that's like, yeah, wow, is that really true? And then the voice comes in, the voice of doubt and fear. It's like, no, it is, you are broken. Remember? And what your stories do is they look to the past and they find tons of references. And they say, you see, well, look what happened here in this year and when you were 17 and when you were 26 and this happened and that happened. I'm sorry, that's the truth. It's impossible. It's complete and total BS. The first step to doing the impossible is to question your stories. Now, you don't have to have an about face where you're like, yes, it is possible, I believe. Maybe if you get to that point, great. At the very least, you just have some skepticism of the certainty of the story. You start to doubt it a little bit and you say, you know what? I doubt it to the point where I'm going to test it out. I doubt it to the point where I'm going to try something new. I doubt those BS stories to where I'm actually going to go take action in the world and see what really happens. Then you're ready to start doing the impossible. So that is the first step. That's what I want you to do right now after watching this video. Question those stories. Start doing that this week. In the next episode, we're going to be talking about the second step of doing the impossible, which is probably where the most momentum happens, the biggest shift starts to occur. You got to do this step. I can't wait to share it with you, and I'll see you inside of the next lesson. Share your comments below. What have you seen? What is, quote, impossible for you? And let's learn from each other. Let's support each other. And until we speak again, may you have the courage to be who you are and to know on a deep level that you're awesome. We'll talk to you soon.